This is Gus's Fashions from downtown St. Louis, and I'm here on my time off. I was going to take a trip to Vegas, but they called me. I came down to my old store, 1201 Washington, and here I am with VOP News. Remember, #1 black news, and it's the true news. It's not the fake news. My customer, he just was 41.
Yeah, we down here all the time, man.
Take a picture with me?
Oh yeah, definitely, bro, definitely, man.
Where's your camera?
I got one right here. Line up, Gus, with your hands. There you go.
All right, thank y'all for tapping in the VOP News. We have a special guest in front of us today. Standing in front of us, we have the one and only who?
Gus. From Gus's Fashions and Shoes on 1201 Washington Avenue. Been down there over 47 years. I started out downtown by the projects. I lived there and I grew up there, and I started in a barber shop downtown, and I put clothing back at a barber shop. Devil jeans. I know there's customers out there that remember the Devil jeans that I had. It was a brand, a beautiful brand. It had the devil on both sides of the pockets, and I sold Converse for $14.99, not $79. And I helped the community all my life.
Nice.
Yes.
First and foremost, we want to say we appreciate you taking time out your schedule to sit down, well, stand up with us and have this interview. You say you grew up down here. Are you originally from St. Louis?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about the early days then.
Yeah, the early days I was born poor, dirt poor. I was born by a midwife downtown. I was born on 8th and Cole. 8th and Cole, across from the projects and all in. Then we moved into the projects because we had bathrooms and toilets in the project. Where I was born, they didn't. They had outside bathrooms, ash pits, and whatever. So anyway, that's where I was born, downtown. I've been downtown. I was downtown 75 years.
Nice.
75 years. Matter of fact, one day I went to McBride High School. I came home and they were tearing all the houses down downtown, and they tore my house down by mistake. And I called my dad up and I says, "Pop, we ain't got no house. They tore it down by mistake." So we had to go live with our grandmother. But that's how things happened back in the day. But then I start meeting people, start moving around, and from 4th Street by the Trailways bus station and the Greyhound bus station, from 4th Street in Washington, I moved to 12th in Washington, right here, and that's where I met all the rappers, all the gold they bought. LL Cool, Ice-T, Ice Cube, Jamie Foxx, the Boys in the Hood, 2 Live Crew, Eazy-E, Too Short, Spice One, Hammer, all the rappers. Eazy-E's got me in his video. He's got me in his video. Anyway.
All right, so look, what I want to ask real quick, Gus. I mean, we got the fire engines and everything going right now. That's typically a normal in St. Louis for everybody that live here. How was the early days of St. Louis that you can remember?
The early days were beautiful, beautiful. The customers were great. You know, we gave to all the Christmas gifts. They came in here, the ministers, the black ministers came here, and I gave them clothes and shoes for the kids for Christmas holidays. And when they were going back to school, a lot of poor families came in there. The ministers brought them here. Reverend Hunter from Sunny Mount Baptist, and a lot of other ministers. And I clothed them, gave them shoes and clothes to go to church and to go to school. And that's what I did for the community. Always. Anybody was short, $5, $10, I let them go. I let them go. And then the things got real kind of bad towards the end. Why kids would leave the store and there'd be guys here waiting and they grab their shoes and run with them, and I would replace their shoes so they wouldn't go home and tell their mothers I was at Gus's Fashions and Shoes and they stole my shoes. See, I didn't go for none of that stuff. And another thing I didn't go for, in the day they used to wear their pants all the way down, and they were hanging. And when they came in my store, I told them, you have to put your pants up, and otherwise we won't serve you. And they respected me for that all the time.
So Gus, let me ask this. You mentioned like in some of the later days, you know, people used to, take shoes and everything, right? From people that came off from the kids. What compelled you to replace the shoes and everything?
My heart, because I was poor. I never had shoes. My dad used to go to Salvation Army and buy my clothes because we were poor. My dad wasn't making any money. That's how, back in the 40s, I'm talking about, in the 50s, we were poor people. And I had a reaction of being poor when these kids, they would rob their shoes and run. But a lot of times they didn't do all that stuff. They respected me because I grew up with the black people and the black community. I was number one with them, you know what I mean? They respected me, I respected them, and it was great. We had customers coming from Jennings, everywhere, all the way down to Lucas and Hum, Normandy, you name it, Florissant. They all came to my store, and I knew what they were doing, and it cost money to come to my store, gasoline, time, but I took care of it.
So you mentioned respect. How important is respect amongst business and beyond business, just amongst people in general?
Well, I'll tell you what the respect was. I worked for 10%. A lot of stores in this area, they took advantage when mothers got their checks from the government to clothe and shoes their kids, and I cashed their checks. I only worked on 10. They worked on 40 and 50% and 60%. They took their money, but not Gus. I worked on 10% of profit. That's what I did. I gave them anything. I made good deals and I gave them good deals, and they respected. That's why they came all the way from here.
Okay, so a lot of people I know used to frequent Gus, including myself. You did have like the lowest prices in town on Fila, on Timberland boots, on everything. How did you manage to stay afloat like that?
Well, you know what? It was very hard to get all these shoes and clothes, number one stuff. I had to practically beg Fila, beg Reebok, beg people, Nike and Timberland, that I was a good person to sell their product. And that's what I did for years, and then I finally got them. And I was always cheaper than any store, not by $1, not by $5, maybe $30, $20, $50. I worked on 10%, that's 10 cents on a dollar. They try to rob the people around here, but I didn't. That's why they came to me.
So Gus, look, I want to take it back a second. I heard you say that you grew up poor. I heard you say you grew up in the projects. Do you remember the name of the projects that you grew up in?
Cochran. Cochran.
Gus, you from the Cochran?
Yeah, man. I was Cochran man. I'm a Cochran man.
That's why you got the blue shoes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right.
And then, you know, my best friends were Jamie Foxx. He was number one. Flavor Flavor. He was one of my. They respected me. They came here. 2 Live Crew. Oh my God. There was 1,000 people out here. They had to close the streets. There was so many people. They just came out of a deal in LA. something to do with their pornography or something, and they won the case. They got on a plane and they came right to Gus's fashion.
So it sounds like you're talking about when 2 Live Crew went against the Supreme Court because of the song they had at the time, Banned in America CD, the Pop That Coochie song.
Right.
They were trying to ban it from the radio station.
You got to help me because I'm 87 years old, bro.
Oh, don't worry about it.
I've been around, bro. You know what I mean?
So you say they won their case and this is the first place they came?
This is it. I got the video, man. I got the video. They had to close the streets up. They had about 50, 60 policemen out here directing traffic, keeping people afloat, that they wouldn't hurt anybody or anything. It was like a big picnic out here anyway.
So Gus, like a lot of famous people came here, you named some of them, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, DJ Quick, he has you in the Just Like Compton video.
Yes, that was Eazy-E.
DJ Quick had the Straight Outta Compton video. Eazy-E, he came here, he bought the store out, gave kids $500. I remember reading that back when I was like in 6th grade. But what attracted the hip hop community to Gus?
Well, you know what? A friend of mine named Gavin used to send me all this. I used to buy a lot of CDs off of him, and he got with the companies, and I got with the I used to get the CDs before anybody. And they didn't. And a lot of people burned my CDs. You know what burn means?
Yeah, I know.
They copied them, and they'd be across the street selling them for $5, and they still buy them off of me. They still bought the CDs because I was original. And that's how I got all the rappers to come in. A lot of them. I had a special room in the back for rappers. I sold them gold. I sold them everything that you've seen them wear. And LL Cool, he was a great guy. He had the troop shoes. Remember the red?
I remember
the red
joint.
troop shoes. That's your grandfather and your father. Had all the jumpsuits with the crown in the back. Yeah, he did a lot for the and they always helped. When they left my store, they left money for the community, for the ministers to help the kids go for school and everything. All the rappers were good.
Gus, it sounds like you are a great businessman. Could you tell us about your first endeavor and how old you were when you first started that endeavor?
Well, you know, I was 17 years old. I was going to school, high school, and I bought a truck, and I sold produce in the projects. I sold produce, and I had a couple, 3, 5 trucks, and I told my workers, don't bring the produce back, because I don't have a cooler. You see these grandmothers with 5 and 10 kids playing in the yard or in the front yard. Give them all the okra, because it gets bad. Tomatoes, that gets bad. Corn, that gets bad. Watermelons, give it to them because they got a rough time raising these kids. And we had about 10 or 15 families like that, and that's what we did. And that's why the blacks in the projects respected me, because I always helped their grandmothers, and they knew it growing up.
Okay, so Gus, it sounds like you come from hard times and poverty.
I did.
With poverty, a lot of people crack. A lot of people can't take the pressure of being broke or not having money. How did you manage to dig your way out of poverty?
It gave me strength, don't you understand? My grandfather died when he was 38 and left my grandmother with 10 kids back in 1920. My father had to go to work on Produce Row and raise 10 kids. And he worked 7 days a week for $5 a week. They put it in the envelope, and the bad guys took $1 out of his envelope every week. But my grandmother knew how to make food for the 10 kids. Pasta with oil, pasta with peas, pasta with meatballs, neck bones. Used to go to the butcher shop. They give them bones to make soup. Liver they didn't eat, they gave it to my grandma. They did that to help the community. And there was no Social Security or food stamps in them days. When my father's brothers and sisters were growing up, they used to call my father Daddy, but that was their brother, because they didn't know any better, because my grandfather died so young. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So with that being said, Gus, rumor has it you had a barbershop. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's where I had the barbershop, and then from there I put clothes in the back, like I told you, and I was doing so good with the clothes, that's why I came up here. And this was a big deal. I was only paying $200 a month in the barbershop. When I came here, I was paying $2,500 a month. Yes.
So were you one of the stylists?
Pardon me?
Were you one of the stylists, one of the hair cutters?
Yeah, I was a stylist, yeah. Oh my God, are you kidding me? But the point is, I did it all for love for the community.
Nice.
I did it because, you know, it was tough growing up for the Italians and the blacks in the black community. You know, and we never had nothing. We couldn't get jobs, we had to make our own jobs. We had to do our own thing. And that's what we did. And a lot of the guys, black kids that I grew up with, they became policemen, lawyers, and things like that. And they always remember me helping them out when they were kids.
Okay, Gus, tell us about something we might not know about you or about Gus's Shoes and Fashions. I know when I was doing some of my research, I thought that, you know, there was only one Gus location. I didn't know that you had a Gus in different cities.
Well, they picked up my name. They did my name. A lot of guys used my name, Gus's Fashions and Shoes. They even did a play in LA. And the LA Times picked it up. It was #1 play in LA Times. But a lot of them used my name. That's why I just closed up. I could have sold my business for thousands and thousands of dollars, but they would have used the name and used my name to get product and don't pay for it, and then they would come to me. So I closed it up completely, and you don't know how many people today tell me, Gus, why don't you open up again and make us feel good about spending our money on shoes and clothes like you did.
Man.
It was tough. It was tough for the black community to drive all the way down here from East St. Louis, from Collinsville, from Columbia, all over. And I'm telling you, I remember. And I used to have every Friday, I'd have a deal like you guys are doing me right now.
Right.
And I'd have kids dancing, little twins, and people rapping and all that. And at the end of the month, I would give them $200 worth of clothes if they won the contest, and I would give them trophies. It was really a good rapport for people to come in the store.
Now, Gus, before we get off the subject of the business, we frequent a lot of businesses these days, and a lot of their customer service is just poor. It's poor, it's trash. It seems like people have an attitude with you for spending your money at their establishments a lot of time. I remember your place not being like that. Could you drop some jewels for business owners out there that maybe they can suck up a little bit of your game to improve their customer service?
Well, when the customers came in here, I had a different whole operation because I was good to them. When you're good to people, they don't steal from you. I never had a robbery or anything like that. Never had anybody steal from me. One guy stole 3 or 4 pairs of blue jeans. He went across the street. And tried to sell them. And one of my customers was coming up and he was exchanging the same jeans because they didn't fit him. And he tried to sell them to my customer. my customers start whipping him like you couldn't believe. The guy that stole the jeans ran in my store and said, call the police, call the police. I'm getting beat up. But that's what kind of customers I had. Oh yeah. And you know what? If somebody accidentally picked something up and put it in a bag, I would just say, you know what? Do you really need that? If you need it, take it. You know what I mean? I didn't call the police to lock up a 12 or 14-year-old kid. You know what I mean? They did it because they needed it. And that's what I did, and that was my policy all through my life, to help the community. And my store was probably 90% black because I bought what they wanted. And I bought it cheap and I sold it cheap.
Gus, speaking of your store, it was always good times coming here. I remember the security guard that you had. What's his name?
I had so many of them, I don't even know. Oh, little Jimmy?
Jimmy.
Oh yeah, he was funny, that guy. I raised him since he was 14 years old. You know, once his mother and father died, they lived in Hyde Park area, where Crown Candy is, in that area. And anyway, his mother and father died, and I took him in, and he's been living with me ever since. He's 70 years old now. Ain't that amazing?
How's he doing?
He's doing real good. He's got his own thing going with computers and stuff like that. And that's his life, you know what I mean? And on some of the computers you can see on the games, the brighter side of blue. That's an iPod that I just did on YouTube about downtown St. Louis back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and look up Gus's Fashions and Shoes on your phones or on Google. Mm-hmm. And my life story, my biography, is on Amazon, called Gus.
Nice.
And you can see me on that video too.
Okay. Before we let you get out of here, Gus, I know, if I'm not mistaken, I did some research and I heard that you had an interaction with the Pope. Is that correct?
Yes. When the Pope was coming to St. Louis, I got a call from the corporate office in New York, because I was the biggest Reebok dealer in the country, and they told me the Pope's coming to St. Louis, and see what he wants, a pair of Reeboks, fix a pair of Reeboks. So I put golden shoestrings on, and I gave thousands of dollars to all the churches, Baptists, Lutherans, Jewish Federation, and they told me, well, you know what, we'll see you next year. But the Pope sent me a letter thanking me, and now he's a saint, St. John Paul, and that's what happened here in St. Louis with me and the Pope.
Nice. Gus, what is your most profound memory about your establishment or throughout your life period?
Well, my memory is making these young kids happy that they can afford a pair of shoes or clothes to keep up with the styles. I didn't have old stuff. I had new stuff.
You did.
And they were always proud to wear the product that I had. And it made me feel good that they could afford it. And if they didn't, I would take care of it anyway. And that was my proudest moments, coming in with the rappers, with Governor Carnahan, God bless his soul. He used to come in with his family. And I was born July the 4th, and he used to sing Happy Birthday. And his plane crashed with him and his son in it. And that was a good moment that he came to me. A lot of people came. All the ministers I knew. All the people I knew. The mothers and the fathers, all of them. They never tried to do anything but buy from me, and I made them happy, because that dollar went 100%, yes.
Nice. All right, before we close this thing out, Gus, I want you just to give the community a message on any type of level. I want you to look in the camera and just talk to the people.
Well, you know what the message is. Take care of your mothers and your grandmothers. Your grandmothers are the salt of the earth, and they raised you a lot. Take care of them if you can, and don't listen to anybody else. It's these thugs that are out on the streets doing nothing, just nothing. Stay with your family. Your family, the black family they're so good to each other, and I know it, I seen it. When people got drive-by shootings, I used to give them all the clothes free. Families and the person that died. Yes, you can ask them. I did that. I did it with my heart. And that's how the black community got to stick together, and you got to go to school and get an education. I always told my workers and all of them, get an education and you'll be somebody. And that is the truth. I'm not making it up, because people told me, you know, Gus, without you, I wouldn't have went to college. You took care of me and my family all the way through.
Nice, nice. Well, Gus, we're not gonna hold you, man. We definitely appreciate your time today. We definitely appreciate you coming out, setting up and giving us a little bit about Gus's Shoes and Fashions, giving us a little bit about your life, and just taking that time out today, Gus. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. Anything I can do, still doing for the community right now, I'll do it.
We know, Gus. We know. We appreciate you, Gus. Thank you so much.
All right, God bless everybody.